A Marvel Legends Samurai Wolverine has yet to be made by Hasbro. One of Wolverine's deepest cultural ties is still missing from our Hasbro Marvel Legends shelves, so I decided to see if I could kitbash my way to one. I picked up the G.I. Joe Classified Series Kyle Budo Jesso, not just to add a samurai to my collection, but to see if he could be the DNA for a Samurai Logan kitbash in 1/12 scale. Did this figure add more than just one character to my Marvel Legends display? And most importantly, was the Samurai Wolverine kitbash actually a success? Let's find out. When choosing the right Marvel Legends Wolverine body to wear Budo's samurai armor, I look for a base with no shoulder pads, minimal sculpted costume details, and no thick belt. Essentially, a clean, simple Wolverine body mold. For this build, I used the Marvel Legends 50th Anniversary Wolverine from the Lady Mandarin 2-pack. He represents Wolverine's samurai side, but without the traditional armor I was originally hoping for. The torso armor and belt snap closed, and the fit is just tight. The lower cap guards, however, sit loose. One big problem I encountered with this figure is he doesn't have weapon holding hands, so he cannot hold on to a samurai. Another option is any brown costume Wolverine, which also lacks shoulder pads. Here I am using the shirtless battle damage Wolverine from the Amazon exclusive 5-pack. For this version, I skipped adding the lower cap guards altogether. Another major reason I picked up this Budo figure was the red demon mask. It immediately reminded me of Ogun, the ancient ninja master and one-time mentor to Wolverine. I first learned about him in the 1984 classic Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries, and later on in Extreme X-Men. I have some serious doubts that Hasbro would ever make such a deep-cut character like Ogun in the Marvel Legends line, so I tried to kitbash my own. Unfortunately, the red devil mask, the Menpo, is permanently attached to the Kabuto helmet, which means I can't get the exact standalone Ogun I was hoping for. I guess for now, I'll have to settle for a kitbash that simply resembles the aesthetic, but the vibe is definitely there. This isn't a perfect Samurai Wolverine. Budo is a taller character, which means the samurai armor doesn't fit Wolverine with ideal proportions. Later, I'll show you another option and other kitbash. But before that, collector pricing matters. Picking up G.I. Joe Classified Kyle Budo Jesso just for accessories makes this a very expensive kitbash. At $41, is this 4-in-1 figure really worth every dollar? Let's take a closer look. Out of the box, Budo comes with two distinct head sculpts, but thanks to those modular helmets, you actually get 4 different looks. The first is the clean-cut Kyle Jesso. Hasbro did a great job here with the subtle beard details. The paint wash makes the facial hair blend seamlessly into the skin tone. You can see the finely sculpted vertical strands of the hair pulled back into that traditional samurai man bun, while the shaved sides are painted a solid gray. If you look closely, there is subtle texturing to represent that buzz cut look. The second head sculpt features his long flowing hair and a full black beard. Now I noticed a small dot on the left side near the eyes, on both heads. I initially thought it was a faint defect, but since it's present on both head sculpts, it seems to be a deliberate character detail, perhaps a mole or a scar. He has a Kabuto helmet, integrated with a Menpo, the devil face mask. The teeth on the mask are excellently sculpted and finished in a striking shiny silver. The second helmet option is an open face design that leaves Kyle's features visible. Both helmets are designed specifically for the short-haired samurai head sculpt. It can be a real challenge to get the eyes to line up perfectly with the Menpo eye holes, while the head is on the figure. I found it more effective to attach the helmet to the head first, while it's detached from the body, then pop the whole assembly onto the neck peg. This ensures everything is aligned before you start posing. With 4 distinct looks, it raises the question, which one is the definitive Kyle Budo Jesso? In my search for the true Budo, I discovered a surprising fact. He never actually appeared in the classic Sunbow or DIC cartoons. Instead, he made his debut in Marvel Comics. This technically makes him an original Marvel character, which is my excuse to add him to my Marvel Legends collection. His first appearance was in G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero number 82, published by Marvel Comics in 1989. In that issue, Budo was one of only 3 candidates alongside Repeater and Lightfoot to survive a brutal final exam by stopping a live Cobra raid. In fact, tracking down this specific armored look in the original comics is surprisingly difficult. Devil's Due Publishing took over the G.I. Joe license that we saw more of Budo and his love interest Jinx. If you look at this character profile from the comic books, comparing it side by side with the G.I. Joe Classified Series figure and the original 1988 vintage figure, you can see the evolution. While the new design adds a tactical modern twist, it retains all the essential elements of the 88 classic. I've heard some collectors argue that the colors of his arms and legs clash with the samurai plates, but those colors are actually a direct homage to the 88 original. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you happy with how Hasbro handled the design? Do you think this modern overhaul look of Budo is necessary? According to the comic book profile of Kyle Budo Jesso, despite of being a disciplined samurai, he has a massive passion for motorcycles. Maybe this is the reason why there is a second head sculpt with a long hair and a full beard. He looks like more of a modern outlaw biker. It's that Harley Davidson meets the Katana vibe that makes him such a unique character in the G.I. Joe mythos. I hope you found the kit bash and the review helpful so far. If you do, please keep it a hype, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends. For places where the figures in this review might still be available, I left some links in the description below.
I'm Tanto.
Budo's Yoroi or samurai armor is a beautiful mix of tradition and tactical design. It's technically called a Tosei Gusoku, which translates to modern equipment. His do or breastplate is a black plastic. Front, there are painted brown details to highlight the sculpt of his modern equipment. At the back, there is a peg hole. There are sculpted details, but they are not painted. The sode or the rectangular shoulder shields are attached to the breastplate, painted brown, and there's a G.I. Joe logo. On the other side, there is no logo. The Kusazuri or the armored skirt is a removable piece just like the breastplate. It's also black plastic painted brown details. Budo has green pants, probably for camouflage purposes. He has a Tsuneate which protects the shin, not removable and sculpted to his boots. He has an alternate Kusazuri or the skirt. This has a traditional design and does limit the articulation for his legs. Unlike the first one which has only one sword sheath, this has 2. It would look more traditional and fit better if you remove the gun holster on his thigh. The matching breastplate or do is this one. Unlike the first breastplate, this has a green collar attached to it. Unlike the first one, this one is a bit of a challenge getting a close, clean lock between the 2 parts right here. It just won't peg in completely to have a more seamless look. This is the best thing that I can do, but I did not heat up the armor parts to soften the plastic. The forearm guard or armored sleeve called kote is also interchangeable. The mold of the kote tells you which one is for the left and the right side. There is a hanging part which protects part of the thumb. Budo also has a straw-looking cloak called mino. This traditional Japanese cape serves 2 functions. First is weatherproofing. This is called a rain cape to keep the person dry. And second, it functions as a primitive camouflage. Hasbro added a subtle brown wash on the sculpted parts of the cape. The traditional Tsuneate or armored shin guards are simple clip-ons that are incredibly easy to attach or remove. However, the fit isn't particularly tight, so they tend to swivel, especially if you're attempting to kitbash them onto other characters. While these interchangeable armor pieces add deluxe value to the figure, we need to look past the defense and check out Budo's offensive capabilities. He comes equipped with 3 blades. The longest is the Katana, which is paired with another shorter companion, the Wakizashi. Together, these 2 blades form a daisho, the ultimate symbol of a samurai, confirming Budo's warrior status. For close quarter combat, he also carries a Tanto dagger. The belt of the Kusazuri, which is the armored skirt, features 2 integrated sheaths for the Tanto and Wakizashi. Because the katana is exceptionally long, measuring 8.3 cm or 3.3 inches, it requires its own dedicated crossbody sheath. Hasbro designed the accompanying green rope to be extra long, allowing you to secure the sheath even when Budo is fully armored and wearing his Minu or straw cape. The downside, without the armor or cape, the katana sheath sits far too loose on the body. I found a quick fix by tucking it under the red scarf to keep it from sliding around. One significant downside to using the sword sheaths is that the silver paint on the blades tends to flake off. I'm not entirely sure if this paint rub is a widespread QC issue, but for me, the flaking off gets worse as I continue to use the sword sheaths. By the way, the green rope of the katana sheath is detachable, so no need to panic. It was not broken. Finally, for modern firepower, Budo carries an assault rifle and a tactical pistol, proving he's as lethal at long range as he is with cold steel. Both firearms features muzzle compatible with blast or smoke effects. The blast effect and smoke effect is not included. Here I am using the ones I got from Marvel Legends. G.I. Joe has their own similar ones. This gives you more options for your toy photography. For Budo's neck piece here, I am using the red scarf. Another alternate neck piece that he has is the Nodowa, which is a traditional Japanese samurai armor component designed to protect the throat. Despite Hasbro packing this figure with an incredible amount of weapons, armor, and 2 distinct head sculpts, it does come with a trade-off. Budo only includes 2 hands. Both are weapon-holding hands designed to grip his blades and firearms, but they feature different hinge orientation. The right hand hinges vertically, up and down, which is appropriate movement for the sword swinging poses. The left hand hinges horizontally, forward and back, which is better for bracing a rifle. One thing to keep in mind is that these hands are molded in green plastic, meaning exposed fingers are actually painted on. To get his trigger finger into the guard of the assault rifle, I had to pry the fingers open and force it in. Unfortunately, this caused the plastic to stretch, which led to paint flaking off. While it's hardly noticeable from a distance, if you want to keep your figures in good condition, I suggest avoid prying the fingers. Maybe if you apply a little heat from a hairdryer to soften the plastic, it might prevent the flaking off. Moving on to the Kitbash, the body mold of Budo is slightly thicker than the average Marvel Legends body mold, so it would be a challenge to get a perfect fit for his body armor. Since some collectors found the arms and legs of Budo a color mismatch with the armor, here it is with some reds, which is the Vulcan body mold. It's not a tight fit armor, but the proportions look okay. If we shift to a darker shade of blue, a navy blue type of color, here is the astonishing X-Men Cyclops. Of course, for hands, I needed to find a weapon holding hands. The one I am using for this Kitbash is from Nick Fury. If navy blue is not dark enough, let's use a black body base, which is the Spider-Man Retro Black Suit Spider-Man. For this one, I noticed the armor is very loose. There's a lot of gaps along the torso and the shoulders. So I won't recommend this one. Unless you really want a Spider-Man Samurai or a Samurai Spider-Man, using the Maximum Series Spider-Man, it's the same case. This is worse than the other one. It's so loose. The only advantage I can see when using these highly articulated bodies of the Vulcan body mold and Spider-Man is they can hold the samurai sword the proper way, unlike Silver Samurai. How about creating a new Silver Samurai? This time, I'm using the Silver Surfer from the mini comic book Wave 2. The shiny silver does look great together with the samurai armor. It's a alternate reality Silver Samurai. The great thing about this body mold is it can really hold the samurai properly. The problem though is the outdated Sunfire body mold is too thin, so the armor sits very loose, just like the Spider-Man figures. Since the armor fit was too loose for most Marvel Legends body molds I tested, I switched over to the Punisher, Frank Castle. While the samurai armor looks great on Frank, you cannot actually lock the pieces in place. They just sit on the figures loosely. Because of the fit issue, we cannot do a samurai Punisher. Because the proportions are off when the armor is placed on a comic book Wolverine, I tried a taller version, the MCU Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. The armor fits the MCU Wolverine perfectly, though you'll need to swap the traditional belt for the more modern one. In the comments below, let me know which other action figure you would try putting this samurai armor on. The G.I. Joe Classified Series number 174 Kyle Budo Jesso action figure stands 16.3 cm or 6.4 inches tall. Since one of the goals of this review is to see if Budo can fit in as a samurai for your other collection, let's run through some size comparison. First, let's see him within the G.I. Joe Classified Series line. Here is Budo alongside G.I. Joe Classified Series Retro Lady J, Dreadnought Buzzer, from the Polar Bear set Snake Eyes, and from Wave 1 Gung Ho. A perfect opponent for a samurai is some ninjas. I assume most collectors army build the Fist Ninja, the Hand Ninja, and from G.I. Joe Classified Series, Snake Eyes movie, Storm Shadow, and from Loose Collector Burning Hammer line, Master Wee Lee. Marvel Legends Gamerverse versions versus comic book versions of the characters Wolverine and Psylocke. The comic book versions are from the 50th anniversary of Wolverine 2-pack, Lady Mandarin, and Wolverine in black. A few warriors from the Jada Toy Street Fighter line, Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, and the Spanish ninja, the Matador, Vega. Here is Budo besides some sword-wielding characters for a Marvel Legends female teenage body mold, Magic, regular size female, X4 Psylocke, Silver Samurai from the Retro Uncanny X-Men line, and Gamerverse Silver Samurai. A few more Gamerverse figures, Nick Fury and Punisher, Gamerverse Kingpin. For different sizes of male Marvel Legends body molds, Uncanny Spider-Man, Daredevil from the mini comic book Wave 2, Maximum Series Spider-Man, and Maximum Series Deadpool. Figures from different toy lines, Snail Shell Eileen trying on the Budo armor, Mafex Psylocke, Mafex Daredevil, and from Loose Collector and Halimau Sculptures, Darna. If you want the samurai in bright red colors, here is a Kitbash using the Mafex Daredevil. This Kitbash works well as a leader of the Hand Ninjas. For packaging, G.I. Joe Classified Series Kyle Budo Jesso comes in a deluxe rectangular box. You can see the figure and all of its accessories. On one side is art of Budo. On the other side is the same art and a few more details about him, a QR code. At the back is a product shot or a promo image showing what you get, some warning legalities, and at the bottom is the barcode recycle this packaging if you don't need it anymore. On top is the Joe logo. Unboxing the G.I. Joe Classified Series 174 Kyle Budo Jesso. A large plastic tray contains the figure and all of his accessories. There is a small plastic that contains his straw cape and his scarf. For articulation with his armor on, his head can move from side to side with some hindrance because of the mask and the straw cape. His arms can extend that far. His shoulder pads are resistant, so it limits articulation. He has a butterfly joint. He can do a full 360 without the armor, but it does limit it. He has a bicep swivel right here. Double jointed pinless elbows. Again, the armor would limit the movement. Wrist can swivel, and depending on the hand, this particular hand can hinge forward and back. The right hand can hinge up and down. He does not have an upper torso swivel. He has a waist swivel instead with an ab crunch. Of course, the armor would limit his ab crunch and it would loosen up the armor. This limits his splitting. Can kick forward. He has an upper thigh swivel right here. Double jointed pinless knees. Can kick far back. Kick forward. He has a boot cut, but the guard limits the hinging of his feet and his ankle rocker. So is the G.I. Joe Classified Series Budo worth the $41 price tag? Absolutely. If you are a fan of samurai characters, this figure is a masterclass in detail. As we've explored, the costume is rich with Japanese cultural heritage, from the Kabuto to the Mino cloak, making it a standout piece on any shelf. He scales perfectly for a 1/12 scale collection because he is your typical 6-inch scale figure. But for me, the real deluxe value is the versatility of the armor. The fact that you can use the pieces down to customize characters like Wolverine makes Budo a dream for kitbashers. He isn't just a G.I. Joe, he is a samurai accessory pack for your entire display. Speaking of Logan, I reviewed several Marvel Legends Wolverine and some Mafex Wolverine figures. You can check the playlist right now on the top right corner of your screen. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this Kitbash review useful. If you do, please give it a hype, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with our fellow collectors and kitbashers. I hope to see you in the next one.